Aries Point, Clear, Align, Activate, where we are journeying through 40 days of transformation together as a community. And we're doing a cleanse of sorts, but we're not just focusing on cleansing our physical bodies. We are also working on cleansing out the old cycle, clearing out the old karma, cleansing our thoughts, our perceptions, so we can see things in new ways, clearing out the old dogma, the old belief structures we've had in place that have been keeping us from really stepping into our birthright, what we're here to manifest in the world. 111 on the clock when I said that. This is a potent time of new beginnings. And so it's so important that we move into this new cycle with a clean slate and a willingness to look at things in a new way, a willingness to learn new things as well. We're doing this work on every stratum of our being, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And we're going to focus a lot on spirituality, opening up to higher states of consciousness, spiritual cleansing tools, psychic awareness tools. We're going to be bringing all this in over the next 40 days because so many people are opening up at this time. So many people are opening up into higher levels of consciousness. They're experiencing, for the first time, some are experiencing the real connection with their intuition. It's not that suddenly they have intuition or suddenly they have these psychic abilities or suddenly they're, a channel. It's that you already are that. Everybody is already that. We're all one energy. We're all connected with this one energy. And any of us can open up to these gifts at any time. It's not just reserved for certain people. These are the facts. It's all about how do you work with that channel? Do you work with it in a constructive way that comes from a place of empowerment and that adds energy into the collective cauldron that supports a unification point? Or are you working from a position of your shadow where you're letting your manifestations come through muddied and you're contributing an energy to that collective cauldron that's just lowering the frequency? No matter what direction you go, okay, your energy affects the greater whole and vice versa. It's all one energy. It's all interconnected. So as long as we keep looking at things through this like polarized lens of these are karmic people and these are exalted people, this does not help the situation at all. What's important is that we each learn the value of personal accountability and responsibility on our paths. I'm talking about working specifically today, how your workings are not working for you. This is a download that came in for me very strongly. And we are going to be doing a collective reading on it just to see what energy is in play on this level in the collective and what can be done to address it. I do think it's really interesting because I am going to be working with the Occult tarot here. And I'm just kind of seasoning the deck right now, getting it ready. And I still want to do a little bit more shuffling with that. I'm trying to give time for some people to filter in as well. But it's interesting because when I picked up this deck, I actually had it in this pouch. I keep this deck in this pouch. And the reason why I keep it in this pouch is that, it has sigils on the outside there. And these sigils, they can tend to call in some pretty intense energies. So when I'm not working with this deck, I just, keep it cloaked. All right. So that might be a message right off the bat from somebody out there that if you are doing any kind of workings where you're working with sigils, or you have sort of something that you're working with on that level every time that perhaps you're doing your candle work or any kind of other spell work. If you're working with a sigil, you have to remember that that sigil is like, it's a portal, okay? It's like a direct line for that energy to come through. So when you're not engaged in your workings, you might want to cover the sigils, okay? That's just coming in. All right. That's why I keep this occult deck in a pouch when I am not using it, because those sigils are gateways for energy to enter. Okay. And it's funny because this deck is made by the same person. What's his name? Let me look here. Oh gosh. Let me try to see what his name is here. Thomas. Oh gosh. Let me pull these out. His name is Thomas McHenry. So he makes the occult deck and also this angel tarot. Okay, it's the occult tarot and the angel tarot. Love both of these. Both are spicy in their own right. You know, a lot of people like to think of angelic energy as being light and fluffy, and angelic energy is super heavy hitters. All right, so we have to be prepared to pull out these cards around here. Because they are a different kind of energy to work with. They do have basis in traditional tarot, but they also venture off and bring in a lot of their own metaphysical meanings. And I really enjoy working with these cards. But it's funny because I often work with them together because I like to look at both the shadow and the light. I like to bring these aspects forward in my readings. And I noticed that somehow, I don't even know how this happened, but I think it's coming into play. 7 on the clock. It definitely is. This is a direct message from Spirit in relation to this. Somehow, 3 of my angels ended up in the bag with these. I'm just going to call them devils, okay? They're not devils. They're just a different expression of the one energy, okay? The spicier side. Let's look at it that way. You know, it's kind of that spicier energy. And so I want to see right off the bat what these angels are bringing in here, because I think it's significant. And then I'm going to do some energy clearing, sort of setting the template for our reading before, you know, I dive into all of that. But I just want this as an opening point. I think it's very pertinent and reminds me of that Tennessee Williams quote where he says, if I lost all my demons, I'd lose my angels. You know, it's sort of like, and it's true. You know, we're always going to have those parts of us, our lower natures that will challenge us. You know, and that's what free will is about. Is we always have a choice where our motivations spring from, how we choose to direct our energy in the world, and we have to also own the subsequent repercussions of those choices, the energetical return of those choices, because there's always an energetical return. We're conduits. We are the wand. So the way that we direct our energy influences what manifestations come back to us. And that's why it's so important, especially as we head to that Aries point, which in my recent video I did with Cal Garrison, where we were talking about navigating the new frontier with this wild astrology that's in play. She brought that in when we have that changing of the nodes of destiny, and the north node becomes Aries. It's going to be at that 0 degrees, which is the Aries point, and it's a powerful point of manifestation. It's when we really have an opportunity to close out the old cycle and step into that fool's journey. So it's a power point, and we're building up to that power point, which is why we're doing this clearing work. We're doing this clearing work, mind, body, spirit, because we want to create from a clean template. And in terms of doing any kinds of workings, one of the tenets of the alchemist is a priestess. A priest makes all things sound, makes all things sound. And that begins with the tool, the implement, the magical implement that directs the energy, which is you. You are the wand that directs the energy. You are the altar. All right. So this is very significant. And when you start to look at it that way, it helps you understand things on a whole different level. So let's see what these angels are. These are the angels we don't want to lose. Okay. We got to do this work. We got to unravel this, you know, how our workings, the way we are directing our spiritual energy, how we are directing our energy just in general, which is our free will. how is that influencing our lives? How is it affecting us? Well, what we got here is 10 of Cups. God, master of the universe, Heiel, divine warrior, confounds the wicked, brings victory and peace. Okay, so we definitely don't want to lose our 10 of Cups. We want to have, that angel on our side. We got Haniel, the lovers, joy of God, joy and pleasure brings happiness to couples, removes negative energy. This is all about coming into union with another. It's also the lovers is about that choice. What place are we choosing to act from? Are we choosing to act from our lower natures, or are we choosing to come from a place of higher consciousness? It also always comes down to one fundamental choice that rests between us receiving our true fulfillment, our true happiness, and moving into that reality, truly embodying that reality and living from that place. 11:22 on the clock, coming into total alignment with it, and coming into total alignment with another, our mirror, our reflection, somebody who can co-create with us. First, that marriage, that union, it happens within ourselves. They call that the conjuncto, is the divine marriage. It is the work of the alchemist to do this blending of the sort of leaden material of our souls and refine it into gold. Okay, there's the choice between love and fear. And now I've put out a channel message that came in recently, and I knew that it would get a reaction, and I knew people would have certain feelings about it. But what I brought forward in that return to sender download is fact. It's fact. I mean, it's really about, do you want to live in illusion, or do you want to see something in a new way? Are you willing to accept the tower that maybe you're not looking at things from a sort of bird's eye perspective? I don't know why, but I just got this kind of like hawk medicine, coming in there. Let's wipe away some of these illusions. Let's let hawk come in and give us a bird's eye view, give us a different perspective. Okay. The only way that anybody outside of you can insert their energy and their intentions and their ill wishes into your energy body, which, remember, a priest makes all things sound. The only way they can do that is by you agreeing to enter into that energetic relationship. In other words, you have to make your space inviting for this energy. You have to welcome it in. This is the way it works. This is absolutely the way it works. You do not have to take on anything that is not yours to hold. And that includes others' intentions towards you, their negativity, the way they're trying to cord themselves into your auric field. All right. You don't have to take any of that on. Your invitation is your fear. Your invitation is your feeling, your need to protect yourself. Because if you were truly embodied in your own energy, which is your true nature, and your true nature is love, which operates at the highest vibration, you cannot come into contract with fear. You cannot let this energy feast off of you. It's like offering yourself up as a host. And a lot of times when people do return to sender work, I just want to bring this in because it's sort of at the forefront. A lot of times when people do return to sender work, they may think, oh, I'm not directing it at any particular person. And you may not know where that energy is coming from. You might have an intuitive hunch, but we are human beings. We run things through our ego filters, our own judgments, our own perceptions, which are subject to be faulty at times, or maybe not to have the full perspective. Okay. So you do a return to sender, right? Why are you doing the return to sender? You're afraid. You're afraid somebody's tampering with your energy and that it can have an effect on you. And that fear is the invitation to enter into relationship with this energy that's being directed at you. So you've now allowed it to cord into you. You've become a host for it. You understand? So it's not about doing a return to sender, because first of all, when you do that, you may already have an idea in your head about who might be directing energy your way. And if you say you don't, you're not being honest with yourself. Okay. So if you do a return to sender and you're thinking somebody's sending harmful energy towards you and you're in a fear space, you're now subconsciously, at the very least, you have an idea about who might be sending that energy your way. Well, you've now created a target. You are now entering into the very kind of energy dynamic that you feel is being put on you. You are now becoming a conduit for that kind of energy, directing fear and negativity out into the world. That is not playing the role of being a clear conduit and keeping all things sound. That is contributing to the distortion, and it's what we all need to move away from. But what you can do, okay, that prevents you from moving into a fear space and making you susceptible through leaky boundaries, is what it really comes down to. And Ted's in agreement here, okay, is by just simply putting a boundary around your personal energy space so that you can run your own energy, so you can maintain the health and the integrity of your own energy, and you hold that space from an empowered place. And then there is no energetic agreement, okay, for anything to feast off you. You are just running your own current. Do you understand? Automatically, if somebody is, directing that energy your way, they're trying to ding you. They're trying to get an entry point. And if you give it by like, oh, return to sender, and you're putting all this out there, and you're posting about it, and you're holding this as your intention, they know they got their in, and they do. They're already corded into you. They're already corded into you. So it's about like, you got to clear your energy out. And you got to move yourself back into your own energy. Oh, what inside of me moved out of this place of love and trust that I'm covered, that I'm held. And that's tricky. If you send out that return to sender, you already have an idea of who you think is, got an issue with you. I know you understand too, Rivers. I know you understand, but there's some people who don't, and I just want to clarify this. It's important for people to understand this. If you then direct, that energy outwardly, you direct that energy outwardly and subconsciously, you've already had a person in mind. You've just basically put out like a curse energy. You put out a hex energy. What if you're wrong? What if that person didn't direct any energy towards you at all? What if it's your own shadow stuff you're wading through? What if it's your own wounding you're working through? And now you just misdirected energy. And it's just the way it works. The energy that we put out into the world, it's reflected back towards us. All right. So look at this piece, first of all. And I tend to find this, that people that do return to sender work a lot, they're always talking about negative energy coming their way. It's really not hard to move away from negative energy. You just do not move into a contract with it. You do not invest your time, focus, awareness there whatsoever. You move away from it in practical terms, okay? Just getting away from the metaphysics for a moment, although it's all metaphysical, it's all interconnected. It's really about, starting from that point first and foremost, of just being aware of what you're inviting into your space. Are you around people who gossip a lot? Are you around a lot of drama? Are you around very judgmental people? You might want to start rethinking where you're investing your time and energy. That is its own current, right? And so it's about making those choices first in your outside life, not giving your awareness, your time, your energy to things that sort of bring your own vibration down so you can keep your energy running at its maximum voltage where you can be your most effective and your most empowered. Okay. So that's what this choice is about, that it's talking about here. The lovers, Haniel, you know, the joyful God, joy and pleasure brings happiness to couples, removes negative energy, removes negative energy. Everything on the way to love, everything on the way to entering that house of love, right? It's all about removing the obstacles to everything within us that is unlike love, all right? It's about confronting that fear, okay? So focus on preserving your own energy space and just getting really good at shielding, okay, and grounding, and filling that space with your own essence and your own intentions for your own life and the healing qualities that you are wanting to embody on your path. And then you're golden. You don't have to worry about anybody being able to, put spells on you or manipulate your energy, because what you're going to be aligned in your Ace of Swords, your own truth. And it's your own truth and being in alignment with that really is your protection. Okay. And this is Ace of Swords, Umabel, God above, all names elevated, affinity and friendship. Obtain the friendship of anyone. Okay. So that's just remembering that everything is interconnected, and it's all about how you choose to relate to the energy swirling about in the atmosphere. And there's a lot swirling about in the atmosphere right now. Okay. So, yes, by all means, learn to exercise boundaries. Boundaries are a very important skill for everybody to learn how to develop. And it's something I had to work on in my own life. I had to work on my boundaries, knowing when to say no, knowing that it's okay to say no, knowing that when I say no, there may be some times when that angers another, upsets them, that they may try to further insert themselves into my boundaries. And as long as I can stay in my empowered position, stay firm in my no, and trust that, then it becomes a lot easier to say yes, because I receive the benefits. I'm not entering into agreements based on fear. Okay. It's the same principle playing out in your day to day relationships, situations that you encounter when you are in that place of not being able to say no to what you truly do not want to invest your energy into, because you fear judgment or you fear ridicule or you feel some kind of opposition or some kind of conflict. 23:33 on the clock when I said that. That is the exact point where you are operating out of, that fear space. You dissipate your energies, and then you're going to constantly find pushback, constantly find pushback, constantly find other people's energy in your space, constantly find yourself in a place of struggle in your relationships, in the work you're doing in your life, in anything you're trying to move forward. You're going to come against all kinds of obstacles, blockage to your abundance. And it's because you're operating out of a fear base and you're saying yes to things that you really should be saying no to, because you know they're not in alignment with the truth of who you are and your integrity. So your integrity and being in your essential true nature, that is your protection. Okay. Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords. This is your Ace of Swords. And it's about cutting off the illusion, putting a stop to it. Stop looking at things from this disempowered space as if other people have the ability to run your energy, which you are responsible for running, because that's a cop out. It's a cop out. You're responsible for it. Return to senders are just messy. Any kind of working, and return to sender is a working. Anytime you are working with any kind of intention where you are pairing your thoughts, your feelings, your focus, your words, even in prayer is a kind of working. All right. And so I really had this download come in today. I wanted to bring it in. So we know these are the angels we don't want to lose. All right. This is what we need to really be focusing our attention on at this time collective to move into our empowerment and really embrace the opportunity that's available for us to open up a brand new chapter, not just in our personal lives, but also just collectively, all of us together step up to a new potential. It's about us staying in alignment with our truth, okay? And exercising our choices from that place, learning how to exercise good boundaries, creating some, containment around our energy so we can really fill that space with what's in alignment with our personal truth by learning how to say no to things that we do not want to focus our time, energy, attention on. This is so important. It helps us find that balancing point. And the choice is always one between love and fear. So look at that. How are you operating in your life? And be honest with yourself. It's not always easy for us to look at these things, but this can absolutely block or distort your visions. If you are in a place where you're constantly moving out of fear, you're going to constantly find things that put you in that fearful space. It's a bit of that rabbit medicine, which rabbit medicine is a trickster medicine. It's like calling your fears to you, right? You're so afraid that you actually end up manifesting it. Okay. Deleting old contracts can absolutely be part of that too, Rivers. I mean, if you feel like you're energetically connected to a person, place, or thing that is out of alignment with the truth of who you are, that's certainly something that can tether you and hold you back. And yes, part of deleting old contracts is to move energy that's not yours outside of your space. But I want you to think about this with contracts, right? Old contracts. How did the contract get formed? It got formed because you chose to form that contract. The contract exists because you believe it exists. You're invested in maintaining this contract. So it's about looking at that very honestly. Is there a reason why you've held on to this contract if it's not serving you? And what place is that coming from? Is it really coming from a place of love when we're looking at contracts? Because contracts are binding agreements, right? And love is freedom. Okay, so that's contracts are mostly formed out of trauma, contracts are mostly formed out of fear. Okay, so that's why there is this energetic contract in your space. So it's really just not so much about that. If you really feel like you've been very invested in a contract, I would suggest turning it over is the best way to work with that energy. It's to do work just doing your daily cleansing, clearing, purification of your auric field, your energy body, your mind, body, spirit. Okay. And that kind of gives you a clean template. It does require regular focus. Otherwise, the waters can become muddy. We don't see things clearly. So this is more just about clearing your beliefs around that. Like, do you really have a contract, or is that just what you told yourself? Is that a story you told yourself? So it kind of makes it easier for you to understand why you're holding on to this energy. So this, I would see this almost as it's very interesting because it's bringing up almost like a soul retrieval piece for me, where it's like, people always look at soul retrieval just from the standpoint of like our personal energy being severed off, splintered off, connected to a particular time, place when some kind of trauma occurred, all right? But there's a secondary piece in soul retrieval, and it always works both ways. Okay, so what it's all about when we're looking at it from that angle is it's about also returning the energy you've been holding on to. So yes, it is transmutation to Rivers. It's about transmuting the shadow. What part of you is still holding on to this binding agreement, this soul contract? I realize that a lot of what I'm going to bring to the table here through BroadCoven in Tarot Land is going to be controversial. And it's because I'm challenging a lot of the narrative that's out there about soul contracts and return to sender. These are things that are just so like flooding the feed on YouTube, as far as tarot is concerned, or metaphysical discussions. And all of these things kind of move people out of the place of personal empowerment, accountability, and responsibility. So I'm bringing it in. All right. It's time for all of us to really understand that we are responsible for working with this energy. Soul contracts are binding agreements. They come out of a place of fear. They're usually trauma bonds. It's not formed out of a place of love. It has to do with a greediness, a holding on to the energy, not being willing to release. Okay. And that's something that needs to be looked at an individual level. If somebody is still really like in your space and you won't let it go, why are you holding on to the energy so tightly? And this is not to like put judgment on anybody or cast blame. We've all been in these places before. We're all in a process of growing, learning, evolving, doing this transformational work. But this is about being honest with yourself about it, seeing it clearly. And it's like once you go down that rabbit hole, right? We're talking about rabbit medicine. Once we go down that rabbit hole and looking at this, like, why am I forming a soul contract with somebody that I claim to have love for? Okay, that's a good example. Why am I insisting that there is a soul contract here? Or this can even be with somebody you have a big problem with, like, well, they're in my life because we have a soul contract and I just have to put up with it. No. No, you're empowered to choose where you invest your time, your energy, your focus, and what you enter into an energetic give and take with. Okay, so this is about looking at why am I holding on to that so tightly? That's a much more juicy inquiry that actually provides a lot of opportunity for expansion in consciousness. I know it's you, but I wanted to protect your identity, Emily, because I noticed you have 2 rivers as the name. So I'm always trying to respect how people want to come through. But if you would like me to call you Emily, I'm happy to do that. I am going to put your comment up here, okay? Because I feel like, I want to bring your voice into the mix and it can give some insight for people. So you're saying, I am paying attention and listening, and I've been shifting and healing so much from listening and paying attention these last few months with your guides. Oh, thank you. But here, this is a piece. I'm just giving you like a direction to explore. Like I'm pointing a finger, like, hey, have a look here, right? But I want you to pay attention to that. You're learning so much, you're healing, right? You're shifting. How are you doing that? Is it because of me? No, it's absolutely not because of me. It has nothing to do with me and has nothing to do with anything outside of you. It's because you've turned your attention inward. And you're listening, and you're not directing your energy into the past anymore or constantly chasing the future. What are you doing when you're paying attention? You are present. Okay. So that is you coming into alignment with your soul. And do you see? You shift, you heal when you stop making it about the energy outside of yourself. And when you come back home to yourself, when you direct that energy inwardly and you take personal accountability for managing your own energy, then all these other things fall away, right? There is no need for a return to sender when you're running your own energy. There is no need to protect yourself against other spell work when you're in your own energy and when you manage your own energy and when you have good energetic hygiene. All right. So this is what we're working on over these next 40 days. And thank you so much for bringing that piece in. And thank you so much, Emily, for you showing up. You helped me out too. You're helping getting these messages out here just by you subscribing to the channel, by you joining these discussions, by you bringing your voice in. So we're all co-creating this together. That's what I really want to focus on here at BroadCoven. It's about us all empowering each other. All right. It's not about points of separation. It's about points of connection. So I just thought that was really wild for that to come in. I had to share it with you all. I just thought it was so trippy that those angels ended up in there with the occult deck. And that we definitely want to preserve this. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the specifics with a collective read, but first I want to just talk a little bit about this energy clearing. I think we're already starting to get an idea with what's come in, though, about how your workings can work against you. If it's about working on anything, trying to come into manipulation of anything outside of yourself, then already we know that you're making it about fear. There's some kind of scarcity mindset, there's some kind of lack, there's some kind of not feeling secure in oneself, it's not feeling empowered with oneself, not really running your energy, because if you're really balanced and running your energy, you're a clear conduit. Everything you need to manifest, within this garden of earthly delight is completely at your disposal. It's what muddies the channel. It's what gets in the way, that presents the obstacles and also the conflicts and the falsehood, the original lie, the great lie, that there is any kind of disconnection between you and all that is, you and creator, you and spirit. It's all the same trick. It's all one energy. So the first thing, I want to do is I want to bring in some smoke cleansing, okay? Because I think that this is an important thing that can be done. If you are somebody who's doing workings, the most effective workings you can do are simply to just work on your own energy and how you're maintaining that energy. So let's look at this from the terms of somebody wanting, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's a little bit of Rocky Horror Picture Show, Dr. Frankenfurter. Don't dream it, be it. It's about you being a mirror for the energy that you are wanting to attract into your life, all right? To magnetize it to you. It's not about calling it in from without, all right? It's about embodying the spirit of that within yourself, and then you come into alignment with it in your outer world, right? So we're talking manifestation like 101 here. And it is all about embodiment and empowerment. I like that you're saying embodiment particularly. I like to think of it as embodiment. You bring it into your body, it gets rooted in the physical body. The body is the wand. You are the wand. You are the altar. Okay, so consider the state of your altar. What are these thoughts that run through your head that you're putting on the altar? What is the kind of incantations, the way you're communicating? What kind of incantations are you using when you're at your altar? What kind of emotions are fueling your altar? What kind of desires, right? Intentions, all of this, the energy quality. It's so essential to look at really embodying it in that way. So let's just look at something like, let's say you want to draw in some money, all right? Like that, you feel like you're lacking financially, you want to draw in some money. Well, if you make it about something outside of yourself, you're always putting yourself in a place of a disadvantage where you feel like you're kind of a subservient to something else to sort of deliver you from the state that you're in. So in a way, it's sort of like it's operating from a space of lack, okay? But instead, if you could do a working, some kind of manifestation ritual to embody the spirit of abundance, where you start to build this feeling of abundance within yourself, where your thoughts, your consciousness think in a new way. You can't think in terms of like, oh, I'm really struggling financially, I'm never going to be able to pay this bill, how am I going to get ahead, I'm going to have to file for bankruptcy. Whatever your mind's telling you, it's feeding the fear frequency, right? It's feed. You got to look at like the fear frequency is synonymous with lack. Okay, I'm not going to have enough. There's not enough to go around. There is enough to go around. An abundant universe. Everything we need is provided for. but we have to really be in a place of receptivity to align with that energy, which means if we're going to be an energetic match for it, so we can call that thing in the material world, we actually have to be in that space within ourselves. So this is about looking at the thoughts. Are my thoughts in alignment with love and abundance? Feeling there's enough, feeling I'm supported, or are they coming from a place of lack and fear of not having enough? Okay, I need to do some work on my thoughts. So you could do workings, okay? That could be, a candle working, whatever you want to work with, to start to cleanse those thoughts. Cleanse those thoughts. That could be as simple as getting a candle, lighting it, and spending some time for a chosen period. You could work with this through a lunar cycle. It could be really helpful to work with in a dark moon phase, at full moon and then heading into dark moon, leading up to new moon. You could focus on that candle, put your energy on the flame, because fire is a point of transformation, and you could feed those limiting thoughts to the flame and ask for the flame to transmute that energy and to help you align with whatever you're focusing on, a more expansive perspective. Okay. So you start working on your thoughts. All right. And then it works like that for everything. Okay. So you'd want to do emotional transformation work. Are you constantly focusing on the disappointments, the losses, the heartache, the grief? I'm noticing this right here. So I'm going to bring it in. Okay. I think this is really important. I think a lot of people struggle with this. I love your name, Authentic Ashley. You're already bringing your truth to the table. And so I absolutely love that. You're already, a step ahead. You're embodying this energy. How do you make your feelings and thoughts for someone go away and heal a broken heart energetically? So, first of all, this is kind of goes into this piece that Emily brought in earlier about what about soul contracts and understanding that you're still holding on to the person's energy. All right. So what I would suggest in that case would be you could work with some kind of release ritual that you create for yourself. Okay. That you create for yourself. Usually when somebody's energy is still in our space, it can come from two sources. And I'm going to get this coal going because I want to get some smoke cleansing coming in with this coming in here. Usually what's going on is kind of twofold. All right. So first of all, there's probably energetic courting. There's probably energetic attachment, which is fear-based. Usually we form energetic attachments with people, places, and things out of fear. We already kind of brought that into the mix in the opening here. Also, it can come from a place, I really feel it's always sourced from fear, to be honest with you. It's a fear of abandonment, rejection, losing that connection, right? So we form an attachment to it. That's how people get courted into us, right? Instead of that energy of freedom. Love is freedom, okay? Love is just complete allowing, openness. Yes, it's this just beautiful resonant energy of knowing that everything that is meant for me totally aligns with me. I don't need to hold on to energy. So I'm not saying that this happens on the conscious level. It's not that we consciously say like, oh, I'm going to hold on to this person's energy. It's more that connection with that person awakens some wounded part of us where maybe we have a fear of abandonment, or maybe we have a fear of rejection, or maybe we don't feel supported. And so we learn to create an attachment to an energy outside of ourselves to sort of sublimate this need, when really we can generate that energy within ourselves by just reconnecting to our source, clearing our channel. So what I would say is it would be very helpful to do some kind of symbolic ritual, okay? Because ritual it's very primal and it's very connected to the roots of our being. And you can do a ritual where you lovingly release the person that is in your space. And then it's about doing the healing work, okay? It's about doing a lot of clearing, a lot of letting go and release work, which we're going to be looking at different levels of this as we move through this experience. But I specifically have something coming in for you, Authentic Ashley, right now, and as well as anybody else who struggles with this kind of thing, which I feel like most people have dealt with this at one time or another in their lives. Okay. Um, Heartsease, it's a flower essence. And you can find it very easily. You can Google it. All right. It would be very helpful for you to work with Heart's Ease. Heart's Ease is such a beautiful flower essence, and flower essences are very gentle. There's no contraindications. They're safe to use. It's sort of like the auric essence, okay? The auric essence of that particular plant that you can use as an ally. And it acts as a balm to the heart. It also helps you connect back with the love inside of yourself. It's very, it's a very beautiful, soft, healing energy. And speaking of that, one of the first things that I want to bring in here to also send a little of that love and healing to the collective, because we've all been moving through a lot of shadow stuff. I have rose geranium here. Okay, rose geranium is lovely for smoke cleansing. It has a sweetness to it. The other thing that is really wonderful about rose geranium is it is closely associated with Venus. So we're really working with that Venus-Jupiter conjunction energy. It helps you connect with the energy of love. It's also connected to the water element, okay? Which we're all talking about that. We're mostly made of water, so our bodies are conductors, okay? So it's interesting. Emoto, I don't know if you're familiar with Emoto, but he's done a lot of scientific studies on the words we use, the intentions we use, and how they actually affect the molecular structure of water. They change what the water is transmitting, just the way the crystalline structure forms. Fascinating. If you don't know about him, you should research him. Pretty interesting. So, bringing in this piece, of being mindful of the thoughts we're holding, of the intentions we're holding, letting our emotions inform us about where we may need to do some release work. Okay, so if you're feeling this, like this person's energy is still in your space, it could be because at one point in time, you two courted into each other. You may have trauma bonded. This may have been a difficult situation. It may have been a very intense breakup. It may have taken you to really deep places emotionally. And so there's something that feels unresolved within, and because of that, there can be a desire to hold on to the energy to find the answers to that resolution. And yet the answers that you need, they're not going to come from anything outside of yourself. They're going to come from within you. And they're actually going to come from a place of having that energy outside of your space. So you can really align with your truth. So I would create some kind of release ritual. And I say there's no wrong way to do this, okay? It's not formulaic. It's really about listening to your heart. Do something that's meaningful for you. It begins first with acknowledging to yourself, anybody who's feeling this, like they feel like somebody's energy is just really in their space and they don't know how to let it go. You can't stop thinking about the person and it's just really weighing heavily on you. First of all, I would ask myself, is there something, we got to look practically first, okay? Is there something that I need to do in this situation? Is there something I need to communicate to this person that I didn't communicate? Is it time for me to do that? Do I feel ready to do that? Okay. And if you drop in there and you're like, yeah, actually, I do feel like there's a truth I never got to express. I do feel like I need to communicate this. and then you feel like, okay, it's appropriate for you to do so as well. Has this person put down boundary lines for you? Have they asked you not to contact them? Have they asked you to give them their peace? Then you need to understand that sometimes we don't get to say the things, we don't get to say the things we feel like we need to say, and the closure needs to come from within. But if that's not the case, and there's been a misunderstanding, and there have been no formal boundaries put down, and you're having this come up for you, this person's energy is really in your space, maybe there's some kind of healing work you need to do. You might need to speak a truth to somebody. You might need to take the risk, the emotional risk, to be vulnerable, to move into that energy of love where there are no safe spaces, okay? To get into the house of love, we have to move through fear. We have to move through our fear. We have to shed away everything that is unlike fear, okay? So what are some fears that can come up about issuing a communication to somebody that you feel like you have healing work to do, that they'll reject it, that they won't reciprocate, that it may be blocked, that your truth may not be well received, that you may not hear what you want to hear. And yet that's not anything that should form your motivation for moving forward toward that. The motivation should come solely from the place of, this is my truth, and this is what I'm called to do. So I'm going to answer the call, all right? So that's one way you can move energy out of your space, is by not letting it sit there, take, free rent in your consciousness and keep you in a holding pattern. If there's some kind of action you need to take to close the cycle, to have that closure, and it's within your power and your capabilities, and it's appropriate to do so, because there haven't been any formal boundaries put down, like, leave me alone, I don't want to talk to you, okay? If it feels reasonable, if it feels possible, and if it feels like you are brave enough, if you have the courage, if you have the confidence, we brought that energy in, okay? A lot of the collective is facing this, the confidence to actually follow through with what your truth is telling you, to take that risk, to be bold, to let love motivate you. I wish to communicate my truth because I wish for there to be healing and closure in this. So that's a beautiful place to be motivated from. Okay. And even if it doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, all of life will support you in that. It will give you a certain freedom that frees you from having to hold on to this anymore. Oh gosh, sentience. Because then at least you have your answers. Okay, so on the path, the first thing we focus on is not like immediately jumping to what working can I do, or looking at it from the spiritual angle. We look at it more from the practical spiritual work. Is there something practical that I can do in this situation so I don't think about this person all the time and what happened between us? Is there a communication I could have that could just iron all this out and give me the closure I need? Woo! What was that? Something just fell. What was that? That's somebody's message. Somebody has that message coming through for them. Somebody automatically goes to workings or trying to energetically reach out to somebody without doing the practical work. That was something fell. I still don't know what it is. That something fell, and Ted's talking up. So I think that this is a big piece here. Okay. If there isn't a way to do this, okay, and you still feel like, okay, there's nothing I can practically do, or maybe it doesn't feel like the right time. You're like, maybe I will be ready to do that someday. I'm not ready to do that right now. Or maybe it's not safe to do so, okay? Maybe this was a traumatic experience. Maybe it's not safe for you to have closure outwardly, right? In the material world. Maybe there's a reason why you need to steer clear of this person or this situation. Then what I would say in that case is it's really a matter of releasing their energy. And it's important to create ritual around that, because ritual is very symbolic for us, very symbolic for humans. I mean, at like a roots DNA level, it is so so foundational for us. It's a very potent language that allows us healing and release from our emotions. So I think this is about really going to that place, maybe getting in touch with what you're feeling, getting in touch with, are you ready? Ask yourself that question. Okay, so do you see where I'm kind of leading you here? This is the transformational work. And it's layers to it. It's multiple layers to it. It runs really deep because then you have to ask yourself, okay, am I ready to let go of this energy? Notice what comes up just when you ask yourself that question. Do you feel fear? Do you feel anxiety? Notice the impressions in your body. Where do you feel it? What part of your body do you feel it in? This can give you a clue, maybe what chakra, you need to focus your attention on. And you can do that with like chakra meditations on YouTube. You can do it with bringing more of that color into your life. So let's say you drop in and you're like, am I ready to let go of this energy? Am I ready to let go of this person? Am I ready to release this? And you notice you got like some kind of like butterflies kind of stirring in your stomach, right there at Svadhisthana, your sacral chakra, which is really common in love relationships, romantic connections, or any real like soul ties, for there to be this kind of courting in the sacral chakra, because the sacral chakra is your creativity centers. It's how you birth new beginnings in your life. You can't birth new beginnings if the old is still corded into you there. It blocks your manifestation abilities. You'll find yourself stuck and always feeling like you're kind of tethered to the past. You'll also find that you continually recreate the same scenarios in your relationships as those relationships that you've had with people from your past. There's a reason for that. The energy's still there. So you're creating from the same place. So it's really about clearing that out. So, okay, you notice this. All right, I feel this. I got something's going on in my belly. All right, let's look at this. So how can you clear out this energy in your belly? I'm liking going down this rabbit hole, so we're just going to go there. I'm next brought in yarrow, okay? And we're getting a little yarrow going here in this smoke cleansing mix as well, as we dive into this part of the discussion. Yarrow is all about protection of your energy, okay? Just holding your own energetic space. That's what it's really good for. It's also for courage, helps you build courage, and it aligns you with big Jupiter energy. So I brought in Venus and Jupiter plant allies for our smoke cleansing because these energies are very much in alignment with that Venus-Jupiter conjunction. And we're clearing out what can be the shadow aspects of Venus and Jupiter. So for Venus, it can be at war. It can be, in that place of division within ourselves. These edges of this cauldron are getting a little hot here. So I'm just gonna, like so, bringing a little softness. It's funny because this is Angora. This was knitted for me, and it's Angora and Angora's rabbit hair. And no, it was not received in any kind of harmful way. It just natural shed, and it's so funny, that rabbit medicine coming in, that fear. So let's just collectively, let's just cleanse away all these fears, okay? And attachments, okay? When we're looking at energetic attachments, things we're still holding on to, all right? Those are related to fear, right? They're related to fear. So when you release, when you move into the spirit of love, where you can let go, you don't have to hold on to the energy anymore because I have nothing to fear. I have nothing to fear in letting go because love is freedom. Love is freedom. And if you went through some trauma, okay, with this person, that really inserted their energy into your space, then it's really about understanding how you formed an attachment into that energy and what is that about. So we got this feeling in the sacral chakra. Okay, sacral chakra. That's right at your center, right at your center, right where your belly button is. Okay, your belly button is an important entry point. It's right along your hara line. Okay, your lifeline. It's where you received your nourishment when you were in your mother's womb. So you're cutting off the very nourishment from life by this energy still being inserted there in the sacral chakra. Not only that, but with the energy inserted into that area, you have to look at the physical level. Let's look at it physically. Okay, so we already got that piece. At birth, this was your port of nourishment in your sacral chakra. This is where the umbilical cord came in and nourished you to life. So, and this runs right along your hara line. So right away, we got a disruption in the life force energy, what you can really bring into you. And it is necessary for you to engage that prana vayu, like drawing in your energy back into you, calling your energy back into you. In some cases, it can be a case of needing soul retrieval, right? And I will bring that in. I started on that series a while ago. I will bring it in for these 40 days of transformation we're going through as a community, and I will help guide you in how you can call your own soul parts back and how you can return soul parts of others that you may be holding on to, okay? If you feel like part of you got lost back there, I guarantee you, you're holding on to a part of them that feels like they got lost back there. And it's not anything that's done consciously. It's very subconscious, all right? But create a ritual, you need to create a ritual around this, and it begins by first working with your own energy body. So we got this sacral picture. We're looking at this. We're looking at the sacral chakra specifically in our example. All right, I notice when I think of releasing this individual, when I think of really like letting go of the energy and doing a formal ritual to symbolize me letting go of this energy, I feel anxiety. I feel some kind of anxiety around it. It feels like butterflies. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it in that center. We know the physical we know the physical ramifications of that, okay? And how that can still play out energetically along the hara line. The way it can block the prana vayu, your life nourishment coming into you because your energy is being drained. We also have to look at that part of the body. What is the function of this part of the body? All right? If you're a woman, it's your birthing space, right? You give birth from your womb. Men have a womb space too, okay? It's still a port of creation, right? Maybe not bringing an actual physical baby into being, but those other visions, those other things you want to create in the world, it all happens from the center. But on a very practical level for everybody, digestion, okay? And what are the thoughts that you're continually thinking about this person they're inserted in your consciousness? It's ama, it's thoughts that have been undigested, emotions that have been undigested. And so it's affecting the sacral chakra, which is at the point of digestion. So what can be done about that? Heal the digestion. So you start with the physical, and it starts to unravel all the other centers, the mental, the emotional, and then the spiritual. And if you tap in and you're like, you know what? Actually, I am ready to let it go. Then I would suggest creating some kind of ritual around that. Something that feels very special, something that feels very sacred to you and you alone, that allows that space to experience this release. I think working with the water element is always wonderful. Water teaches us to flow. It teaches us to let go. Water is cleansing. It's purifying. It can take any form. it's adaptable, it's flexible, it's not fixed. And I think that's a good place to begin. So you could do some kind of release ritual around water. If you have access to the ocean, that's a wonderful place to go because you've got those negative ions that are very cleansing for the consciousness. They lift the mood. They bring in this like positive energy, which is beautifully supportive, but also the salt water is cleansing, it's purifying. And you can go out there and you can sit at the ocean and you can speak from your heart to this other soul, this other person that you feel like I'm having such a hard time letting go of this person and my heartache, my sense of loss around it. And you can give it over symbolically to the ocean for it to cleanse away and bring healing to your heart. This also moves you into partnership with nature, and that's empowering because in order to really feel in the flow of life, we have to remember the support system we have with the very earth itself, and it's a reciprocal flow. It's about really appreciating the earth, giving back to the earth. And when we take our time to drop in with nature, when we take our time to sit with the elements, we recognize their expression within us. We recognize the interrelation of all things, and we come to understand things in a much different way. Nature is a brilliant teacher, and water is so good for teaching us to let go. A really beautiful ritual that you could do around that, which is very much connected with, for me personally, it's something I've worked with, and it has a little bit of a traditional sort of basis, is working with that Orisha Yemaya. Yemaya is so potent for helping us surrender, let go, allow ourselves to just receive the healing we're needing. Most of the time, the healing is there, it's available for us at any time. It's just that we're blocking it. We're not allowing ourselves to receive because there's something that we're still holding on to that's, clogging up the channel. It's not allowing that deliverance to come through. It's not allowing that connection to spirit, our higher consciousness, our interconnectedness to all things to just flow and funnel through us and give us that support. So you can get white roses. White roses are traditional. You can use any white flower though. Hi, Kristen. It's good to see you, Brad. White flowers are very traditional. Lilies would be beautiful too. Lilies symbolize deaths. Okay. I think that we have a huge aversion in our society around looking at death. And because we have such a fear of death, which is just something that is unavoidable, it's a natural part of the cycle of life. There will always be births and life and death and rebirth. It's a continual cycle. It is that wheel of karma. None of us are immune to it. All right. So I think we need to bring back more honor and recognition for the deaths in our lives. And those are not just the physical losses of loved ones. It's also about the powerful shifts on our paths. When we lose a relationship with somebody that we were deeply in love with, or where our dream, something we were building and pouring a lot of time and energy into falls flat, or doesn't turn out the way we hoped it would, or when we have some kind of separation or disagreement with a dear friend or a family member, and it's just not possible to heal the rift, or when you've suffered some trauma and there's no way to undo the past, but you have to find a way to make peace with it within yourself. That's a death of its own, the death of innocence, right? So there's this need to really come into this place of, yes, there's been a deep loss here. And I feel grief around this. And I'm ready to really face this grief. And I'm ready to move through grief's doorway, because grief is what leads me to the other side. which is the medicine I gain from surrendering this. There's an empowerment that comes from the surrender. It always comes through grief's doorway. When you move through the grief, you move through the pain. Often it's our fear or resistance of it. And you see all that is like love on the other side, all the support, all that's there to receive you. So you can hold these flowers, lilies, roses, make it something significant for you. White is very purifying. It's also very connected with that crown chakra energy. It's very much about that connection point for communication with higher consciousness, with your spirit, with your spirit team, with your goddess, your god, however you want to view it, your Orisha. Okay. We bring it all in here. We bring it all in here. I work with all energies. I work with all energies. You know, I don't like to limit myself. If spirit wants to make contact with me, come on in. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to receive the guidance to communicate with more people. It allows more people to receive the message. Right? So it works with that energy, the crown chakra energy, the bigger picture, the greater perspective, the unity perspective. Right? It's also very much white flowers can also be symbols of forgiveness. And sometimes forgiveness is really about letting go. Letting go. It's being willing to release it. Sometimes that's what forgiveness looks like. Don't let anybody tell you how your forgiveness has to play out. It's a very personal journey. Okay, so true forgiveness is when you've let it go. You've let it go, and you're at the point where you can look and you can see, yeah, that was hard. It hurt. I felt lost for a while. But I see the medicine that came out of it. I see the wisdom I gained. I see the gem I have to bring forward, you know? And in that letting go and in releasing it over, you know, turning it over, to just let it merge back with the energy of the universe, to be transmuted, transformed, to release it to God, to release it to Goddess, to your spirit team, to your ancestors, however that speaks to you. It's all one energy. Then you will receive the gift that's on the other side of it. Then you'll understand why you went through that experience. And sometimes it's really just about letting go and letting something else hold it instead of you keeping it rattling around your personal space. And if you do have faith and you are connected to your higher consciousness and you believe you live by the tenets of love, love is freedom. And so we don't hold on to things. We don't nurse grudges. We don't hold space for that. When we're in that vibration of love. And so if you're finding yourself in that place of attachment, holding on, understand it's what's keeping you in a fear space. And it's also what's blocking you from receiving your blessings, your healing, your release. It's not about punishing yourself about that. It's not about being harsh with yourself, judging yourself, speaking negatively to yourself about that. It's about you having compassion for yourself and using that as information to bring you healing. So you can use these flowers to imbue your energy of the essence of what you've been holding on to into these flowers. Your contract, your soul contract you formed with this person, releasing your attachment to that. Okay, you can put that in a flower and then you release it to the water, to be carried away on the water, to be cleansed, to be purified, to shift the current, right? Working with the conduit. Water is a conduit. to list your fears, list your grief, all those things that are clogging up the channels of your heart, all those things that are keeping you in that space from being able to receive that healing that you're looking for, that release that you're looking for. You can put it in the flowers and release it to the water. You can do this with any body of water. You could do it with a river, would be beautiful too. River would be beautiful too. You know, the river's always flowing. You never step in the same river twice. So that's what I would say. I would say create some kind of ritual, create some kind of personal ritual. It has to speak to you. I think water can be very helpful, but you don't by any means have to stay within those parameters. That's just a suggestion that I brought forward to explore. If you get in touch with your heart, you'll know what ritual would be meaningful for you. But it should be something that you give over to the land, you know, in one way, shape, or form. Give it over to the elements, give it over to the earth, let the earth hold it for you. Let the earth compost it, let the earth wash it away, let the earth renew it. Okay. And just bring yourself back into your own energy. I think I want to also do a little reading for the collective on this. That went down a totally different direction than I expected when this download first came in. But I think I like the direction it headed into, actually. I'm just putting a little cinnamon stick in there with that coal to bring in some sweetness, okay? Just bring in some sweetness to temper any bitterness, any heaviness people have been moving through. And let's go ahead and bring in some tobacco just to honor our roots, honor our ancestors. All right. A little spirit candy just to keep our beneficent helpers, you know, on our side, our ancestors, our guides, our angels. Just bringing that energy in. Okay, so smoke cleansing is something that's important to work with on a regular basis. I prefer to work with smoke cleansing every day just because it's a simple ritual. It's something that I can do that keeps me focused on my connection to spirit and also keeps me focused on how I'm running my energy. Something you can do that takes a matter of a couple minutes, and you can work with whatever you're called to, you know, start to work in partnership with nature in that way as well. You know, the more that you come into balance with nature, the more that you're going to find that you come into balance and alignment within yourself. Macrocosm is reflected in microcosm. So this can be something very helpful. Just think about what herbs, what plants am I being called to do this kind of healing work, to bring this kind of healing into my life, to align myself with the energy I'm wanting to align with. And that can formulate what you work with in terms of smoke cleansing. Um, and it won't be wrong, you know, and do some research about it too. When you feel like called to particular herbs or plants to work with in your smoke cleansing, find out what are the associations with that herb, that plant, you know. How may it also be supporting you in other areas of your life? But smoke cleansing done on a regular basis can just preserve your energy. You also want to be aware of, if you're somebody who has been doing workings, you want to make sure that you're always kind of clearing the energy of your space just from those old workings, so you don't have the energy kind of carrying over into your future manifestations or intentions. And this applies no matter how you are doing your workings, okay? Workings can be done through spell work, yes. Root work, yes. Workings can also be prayer, okay? A prayer is working. You're speaking something into existence, all right? You're holding an intention and you're calling it into being through your words and your devotion. So the space where you send up your prayers is important, you know? Do some energetic cleansing of that space. Also, so it clears out the energy of old prayers, right? Because you're still kind of got that past energy hanging around the atmosphere, and that has its own charge, right? This is also about doing your cleansing within. And we started this out with, focusing on what we're focusing on this week, right? Getting that lemon water in first thing in the morning. Lemon water is internally purifying, cleansing. There's other waters you can use too. Florida water is lovely. You can also make your own Florida water if you can get your hands on some orange blossoms. You can even do a little bit of like orange essence, in there too. A little bit of the, just a little bit of the peel. You can grate a little of the peel in there. You can even do a moon water with that, just to amplify the energy of it, and whatever other intentions you want to put into it. You can even put a little stone in there just to hold that essence. You can use that Florida water in any kind of cleansing baths you do. And a simple cleansing of your own personal energy that we bring in here a lot at BroadCoven would be 2 cups of sea salt or Epsom salt, 2 cups of baking soda. And from there, you can just go off, drop into your intuition and ask yourself, do I want to add a crystal to my bath, or there's some kind of flowers or herbs I want to add to my bath? Do I also want to light a candle and hold a certain intention, or work with a certain psalms, or hold a certain prayer space while I'm engaged in my bath? All of these things should be sourced from within your own intuitive knowing, within your own truth, and how you connect to that truth spiritually. And that's what gives it more power. That's what gives that ritual more meaning. And purification is a ritual in and of itself. Okay. Most of the time, people don't focus on this enough. They don't focus on the purification piece. And in my particular tradition that I've been initiated into on the third road, which is a fairy tradition, and it's sourced from a big part of my ancestry. I have primarily Celtic and Comanche ancestry. All right. So I really do draw from both of those as sort of the basis of my spirituality, how I connect with my medicines. There is really this piece about this, about letting it be informed by your own personal connection. That's important because that's what gives it meaning for you. Okay. And that's what allows you to work with it as this transformational tool. But in my particular tradition, one of the primary tenets that came in through my teacher, Francesca de Grandis, was the path is endless purification. And it's true. It's so true. And it's the piece that most people skip. They want to get right to the working, but they haven't done the work. And it's so essential to first, before you do any kind of working, let the work be on yourself. That's so essential. And just in that brilliant example that was brought in by Authentic Ashley about how to release, release an energy from a person, a place, a thing that's just really just like stuck in your field. Before you do any working around that, you first want to do the work within yourself and understand what's going on there and work through it in the layers like I explained. And then you can go into your spiritual cleansing, just sort of cleansing the energy out of your own, what gets stirred up there. Because there's a lot of shadow material that can get stirred up. Okay, now let's move into some spiritual cleansing. Let's do some smoke cleansing, Let's bring in some spiritual baths. Let's make some Florida water with some moon water that we've charged up with our intentions for purification and what kind of energy we want to align with. And let's go ahead and use that water, as a pour over in our morning shower over our crown. Okay, so we keep our crown clear. We can receive the guidance and the alignment we need with our higher consciousness, with spirit. Add it to your baths, you know. You can use it to wash any of your ritual tools or anything that you have on your altar, right? All of these things can be beneficial, and are things that you can work with. So, and then physical alignment, physical cleansing, right? Bringing it into the physical body. Working with your lemon water, working with, like Emoto said, okay? Please do research Emoto if you do not know about him and his work with water and his study with putting intentions in water, and water is a conduit, and the way it actually changes the quality of the water. Really look it up, okay? So it could be as simple as that, like just taking your water that you're drinking in the morning and holding it in your hands for a moment and thinking, what am I drinking in today? What am I wanting to bring in? Or holding that intention of purifying. I want to clear this energy out of my space. And give it that little prayer, that little prayerful moment of reverence. I mean, it is life. It is life. Water is life. Isn't that interesting? Because so many of us are dehydrated. So many of us do not get enough water, and water is life. You cannot survive very long without water. I think 3 days max, so water is life. That's pretty potent, so look at it, how it plays out in your physical reality too. Are you dehydrated? Are you not getting enough water? Why are you not taking in life? What are you nursing? What are you putting your focus, your attention on? I know I'm getting kind of woo-woo and out there, but it really is all energetically connected on that level. I think I'm feeling really called to pull out these cards and just see what wants to come through and do a little collective reading on this. And then I'm going to get this wrapped up. We're just going to do a little drop in on it and just see, how are your workings working against you, collective, and get a little guidance about what needs to come in here for all of you. I would also say, if you've done workings, okay, if you've done candle workings, any kind of intention work, and maybe even a vision board. Maybe it's an old vision board that you've had around forever. You got together with the girls one night, y'all drank some wine, you made a vision board. Yeah, maybe it's a vision board that was from where you were then. Maybe you're not there anymore, but you still got this vision board you're holding on to. You might want to do a release ritual around that. Go and burn that vision board, or release it in some way that allows you to kind of let go of that energy and create a new vision. So it's always about looking at your template. Where are you starting from? You are the conduit. So where is your energy at? Before you're doing any working, you got to look at where your energy is at. What's going on with you? Next thing is, am I trying to affect something outside of myself? Well, that's not the smartest way to use a working, because as soon as you make it about something outside of yourself, you're accruing karmic debt. And we're supposed to be freeing ourselves from karmic debt. So when you're doing workings, instead of making it about, I want to receive so much money, and putting it outside of yourself, instead do a working to really align yourself with the frequency of abundance, to embody abundance. And you can start bringing that in with the clothes you wear, maybe bringing green and gold accents into your attire, changing your thoughts, addressing your blocks, addressing your scarcity consciousness, unraveling the subconscious. What were you taught growing up about finances? What were you taught about money? It's about doing that kind of work. And your spell work can help you reinforce that, to put you in that energetic alignment. And once you're there, it happens on the outside. You don't need to direct it at anything outside of yourself. It's all about focusing on your own energy and, doing your shielding, doing your grounding, so you can maintain your own energy current. That's all. You know, it's about maintaining your own energy current. That's it. And how you want to contribute that energy. So if you're finding yourself in a place of a lot of blockages in your life, I think the first place that's very helpful to look and where the work is to be done is asking yourself, like, okay, where am I moving through my life out of a fear base or out of a scarcity consciousness, feeling like there's not enough to go around, feeling like I never receive what I need, that I'm not supported, whatever it may be. You have to challenge these thoughts. You have to challenge if it's true. You have to take the risk to sort of open yourself up to new energy. And I would really recommend at that point, you know, yes, the purification helps. Why? Why does the smoke cleansing help? Why does the drinking the charged water help? Why do these spiritual baths help? Why do all of these things help? Because it gets other energy that's not yours out of your space. And once you do that, you're a clear conduit. And then all you have to do to maintain your energy is put up good shielding, you know? Good shielding every day. First thing in the morning when you wake up, just throw a big orb shield around yourself. Change it. Change it every day. Don't use the same shield twice. I trust me, as you get into your own energy, your own source of intuition and guidance will guide you in what your shield should look like, what qualities it has. None of the senses are eliminated from it either. You might have a shield that you put around you that has a certain color, it has a certain quality, like it could be spiky or it could be bouncy. It could have a sound, okay? It could have a particular movement. It could even have a smell. All right. There's no limitations, but shield your energy, root yourself into the core of the earth so you have your stability, and do this twice a day. Do it once in the morning and then do it once in the evening at night, so you can kind of like any energy that might be in your own mental space that you're still holding on to, in your own energy, what you've decided to take on. Because that's the only way you can bring an energy into your space, is if you form an agreement with it. You can clear it out again, get realigned with your energy, and put that shielding back up. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much what I was talking about earlier, about sometimes it's a case of soul retrieval. And I did start a while back with soul retrieval series, and I will be bringing it back in over these 40 days because I feel like this is a piece that a lot of people don't even know that they might be dealing with. So how do you know you might need soul retrieval? If you went through some kind of traumatic event in your life, if you went through some experience that really impacted you, and if from that moment forward you felt totally disconnected from yourself, like you can't relate to yourself anymore, like, who am I? Maybe feeling very lost, maybe feeling like there's something missing, but feeling like it just fundamentally changed you on some level. That's a good clue that you may have left your energy somewhere, you know? There's two different ways of looking at that too, and I want to bring both of those perspectives in because that's not all woo-woo. Okay. So I know that there's people who tune in here that have more of, in some cases, they have an atheist view. You know, they don't believe in deity, they don't believe in spirit or these concepts, but they surely know about higher consciousness, about growth, you know, personal growth, expanding their perspectives, these kind of things. Okay. So I want to look at it from all angles so that everybody can be served by the message. Because why? Because we're about unity consciousness around here. We're all in this together. Nobody's separate from it. And if we don't all elevate, we're all held back. That's reality. It's just the truth of the matter. Okay. So we're all walking each other home in this situation. In shamanic tradition, soul retrieval is related to you had some fundamentally traumatic experience that affected you in such a way that there was a fracturing of a soul part. A part of your soul became fractured and got left back in that energetic time and space. And so you will literally feel like something's missing. It's not just like a sense of fulfillment is missing. It's like, no, I don't feel the same. A part of me is missing. Okay. And it's very difficult to feel like a sense of fulfillment because this piece is missing. You're not whole, right? There's fragmentation there. And so there's ways to call the soul part back. That's a lot to get into in this live. I will not be able to get into that today. But I do have a video for that, and it's under the 40-day Panchakarma, Own Your Fire Panchakarma, that I have a playlist for you. Okay. So we did bring that in. We did bring that discussion in, and I will try to find it and put the link in the comments, pinned in the comments for you all, so you can check out that video if you're like, that sounds like me. Okay. And returning energy absolutely has a part of that too. Okay. Because there's two parts in soul retrieval. First, there's calling your soul part back, but there's always the kind of Stockholm syndrome. All right. There's always that kind of codependent energetic attachment that happens in the case of soul retrieval, where even if this person was like your abuser, or this person harmed you in some way or attacked you in some way, you can form, you're holding on to the energy too. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, to really heal and clear our bodies, we have to clear the energy on every level, mind, body, spirit. And there does come a point where it's also about clearing it from your physical tissues. And some people, they'll have this experience where they're like, oh, but I've worked on this for so long. I've been trying to heal this forever, and I can't get to the other side of this. I don't understand what's happening here. Why can't I let this go? Why can't I let this go? Well, if you've done the emotional work and you've been in therapy and you've been doing healing rituals for yourself, and you've been sending up your prayers, and you've made changes in your life, and you've been trying to do all of this, and you're still feeling stuck, go to your physical body, because you have cellular memory. Your body is filling with secrets of everything you've ever been through. And if you have trauma that is still in your space, it's in your tissues. So it's so essential to get in there and start working the tissues. All of this is coming in. Guidance for all of this is coming in with what I'm going to be working with you all on the 40 days, but we're just in the initiation point with this week, dipping our toes in. But you all are ready, man. You're like, no, let's go to the deep end. Let's go to the deep end. So I'd say that would be a case where you might want to look into soul retrieval, and I'll help with that. Okay. I do soul retrieval work. I've done it a lot in Panchakarma. And what I've really learned through the process, I've also received 2 soul retrievals. I've been through it. I worked with Dr. Stephen Farmer, who gave me the most beautiful, incredible, sweet homecoming. Yes, it's another form of embodiment. I like this. Let's look at this, okay? This is like our focus. Thank you for bringing this in, Emily. I feel like this is our key focus this week. Okay, let's focus on this when it comes to our workings. Let's focus on embodiment. Embodiment, all right? It's the same with clearing it. Embodiment. It's become embodied. All right. It's become embodied. If you're having a hard time letting go of something, it's embodied. If you've been working on it forever, I've been in therapy forever, it's embodied. All right. So that's when you'll want to maybe give yourself an abhyanga, get a lovely warm oil, and, start to really like work your tissues. Notice where you have the sore spaces, Notice when you feel your trauma, where is your trauma come up? Where do you feel the activation in your body? Is it in your heart? Do you feel it in your heart? If it's in your heart, then you might want to get like a beautiful, like, river stone, something you get on one of your nature walks, a nice smooth stone, and you can warm up some oil and put that stone, in that oil, and you can create a nice little cozy space for you to lay back and use that warm stone. You can heat the stone in, you can either like heat up some water and then put that water in a bowl and put the stone in there to kind of like absorb the heat. You can also put it in a crock pot, all right? Monitor it. Make sure you also have, like, if you're going to do this, a little bowl of cool water beside you so you can get the stone to the right temperature so it feels good. And then you put that warm oil on your heart center and you use that stone. And you just feel the stability, the support of that earth, and you use that warm stone to like massage the heart center and even getting into the breast tissue. And yes, men, you have breasts too. Men can get breast cancer too. So this is also beneficial for your physical health. It also helps you get to know your body and what is cancer, right? It's those things we're still holding on to. It's the unexpressed emotions. It's what eats away at us. Release work is also very important for dis-ease prevention. Before something manifests physically as a dis-ease in the body, it first has to go through all the stages of manifestation. It involves our thoughts, it involves our emotions, it involves these kind of energies that we hold onto that produce stress in our body, that produce inflammation, which is the root of all disease and makes us ill. Okay, so this is just good for your health to focus on your body and bring that in. This is, your body is the altar. Your body is the wand. It is the working. It's where all the work is to be done. And it'll tell you everything you need to know. So this is really about like working those tissues, you know, and as you warm this space up, oh, what happens on an energetic level? Oh, now my heart opens. My heart softens. Okay, and you're working the tissue, so you're getting this release going. What else is happening here? Oh, my lymph is moving. My lymph is moving the emotions. Now I can process the emotions. Oh, I've been holding in these tears so long. These tears have been held in by this wall of contraction. I haven't wanted to release this grief, and yet this grief is holding me hostage. Now you're able to like let it go. You can also get another stone. This is really potent. You can rest that stone on your chest. We used to do this at the Dhyana Center all the time, where I worked as an Ayurvedic practitioner. It's such a beautiful thing to work with. And with this stone therapy I'm bringing in here, you could do this on your heart center. You could do it on your belly. You can do it wherever you want, wherever it's resonating for you, wherever you feel blockage in your body or in a chakra center. You can take another stone. So you got this, you know, warm oil, you know, on the area you're working. You have your warm stone there. Maybe you've massaged things, you've loosened things up a little bit, but you're still feeling like there's some contraction there. There's some holding there. There's something that's damming up the energy. There's something that's still like acting as a wall that you need to break through, right? You need to do some block busting. You need to open that road. We're doing a road opening. Hey, the road, the way is within you. It opens up first within you, and then everything flows outwardly from that space into the manifestations of your reality, what you see around you, the kind of work you're doing, the kind of connections you're having, the state of your abundance, the state of your stability. It all starts here first. It's not about anything outside of you. If you're doing workings where you're focusing outside of yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice. And that's why it's not working. That's why you still find yourself in this space where things aren't lining up. The reason why they're not lining up is because you're not embodying it. You're making it about something outside of yourself, which is actually putting your power outside of yourself. You're not connected to your power. You need to embody it. I love this embodiment. You know, let's focus on this collectively. All of us that are doing this work, this word, embodiment. Can we all hold this energy together? It's a very simple word. It's a simple word with a lot of power, and it brings a lot of points of intersection into a meeting point. It's actually very powerful. It's a unifying point, this embodiment. Okay? Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. So this is really about the work, you know, doing this purification work so you can be clear. And soul retrieval can sometimes be part of that. And there is that, shamanic perspective. They call it being soul sick, Dancing can do a lot to relieve soul sickness too, sweating your prayers. Dance is the embodiment of a prayer. It's working with that creative energy to sweat your prayers. It's detoxifying, gets the energy moving, gets the lymph moving. You see the interconnection that I'm bringing in for you all, helping you to really understand how you can embody your empowerment. From a psychological perspective, from a psychotherapy perspective, soul retrieval work is also done. You'll hear this come up in therapist's office sometimes. And what it's about at that level is it's about parts of the consciousness that have fractured off, or some could look at this in the case of PTSD. What it is there's been some kind of like psychological attachment formed to this experience. And so you keep looking at it. It's like that energy, like out, damn spot. But the more you look at it, the more deeply embedded it becomes. It becomes sort of like a skip in a record. You keep going over this place again and 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 again. Okay. But a big part of that involves what I was talking about, clearing the energy out on all levels. Ooh, I'm noticing my juice was running low. There we go. Woo! My battery dipped down. Okay. Yeah, it drains you. It drains your battery. It drains your life force. It doesn't free up the energy. So you can have clear, channel that will really fill you up. It's that Ace of Cups energy, clearing everything that's clogging the channel. Go to your body. If you're struggling with something like that, if you have repetitive thought patterns, if you feel attachments to people, places, things, if you're having trouble clearing it out of your space, or if you're going through what you've come to relate to as PTSD, related to your trauma, things of this nature, a good place to start is just with your physical body, honestly. Because usually by that point that you've developed some kind of attachment like this, it's been with you for a while. It's been with you for a while. And so you might be having trouble moving out of that space despite lots of therapy and working at it from many different angles, working at it spiritually, trying to pray it away, trying to do workings to fix things, trying to do cord cutting, all of these things. It might actually be you need to like physically get it out of your tissues. You need to work it out of your tissues. So I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but that's sort of the energy right now. The energy, it needs to be brought back into center. It's sort of like what I'm feeling from the collective is sort of this like, woo, the energy is fragmented. So it's almost like a collective soul retrieval. The energy is fragmented. We need to embody it. We need to embody our own energy and bring it back to center. And then there will be a lot more clarity. So you can take that rock on that area where you got that warm oil, and you can get another rock and you can tap, 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 tap on it. And what it'll do is it'll send this like reverberation, okay, a reverberation through that area, that physical area of your body, and it can help break up the energetic resistance, the energetic holding. A lot of times you will get a lot of emotional release when you do that. And it's pretty potent and powerful. So that's something that you can work with on a physical level. Salt scrubs are also great too. Scrubbing action, just scrubbing away energy that's not yours with intention, or scrubbing away the remnants of that trauma, scrubbing away those attachments, holding that as your intention so you can get back to that place of embodiment. So let's just do a little collective read here. I think we got a pretty clear idea of how our workings are working against us. I feel like I wanted to go to this place multiple times, and I just kind of touched on it and then it veered off. So I almost feel like it's a blocking energy. But as I was talking about, if you've done workings and you still have remnants of your old workings hanging around, if you've done candle vigils or if you've done any kind of like vision boards or anything along these lines, you really want to release that energy too. Like work with it within a certain time frame, like maybe for a lunar cycle, okay? And then after that lunar cycle is complete, release it, let it go, so you can give it over, you know, give it over to the one energy for it to do its thing. Because again, that's like holding, right? So anytime we look at this holding energy, this contractive energy, we know we're operating out of a scarcity consciousness or a place of fear. And in the end, it always comes back to us. I feel like I'm not going to need to read a lot with these cards. Ironically, I just feel like we touched on so much, and there's so much that came in here, and there's so much to look at. Authentic Ashley, thank you so much. I mean, you really brought in. This is why I love opening it up to the community, because we all learn from each other. We all bring in pieces that, you know, people are struggling with, you know, grappling with, trying to understand how they can work with these energies. So you brought in something very important today. And Emily, thank you for bringing in the piece about the embodiment. It's just so powerful on so many levels, so many levels. And I'm just doing a real thorough cutting of this deck. And we're just going to get a few cards, and then I'll be leaving you off for the day. I don't know. I don't know if I will be back later today for any more readings. I kind of want to do some focus on getting that Kapha course ready to offer you all, so you have it for the weekend, just to carry us forward into next week. So you'll be prepared as we actually move into the physical cleansing process. So I might not come on again today. I mean, it looks like I'm going to be going over 2 hours with today's live. So this might be it for me today, so I can focus on getting that ready for you. I really want you guys to have access to that course. It's going to help you out so much. Okay, yeah, look at this here. 8 of Cups energy on the bottom of the deck. All right, we have Vapor, Guide of the Waters. We've been talking all about the water. Guide of the Waters can make storms and rough seas, causes men to die in 3 days of putrid wounds. So again, to me, I feel like this is really speaking of the way that holding on to things that we really need to release. And this applies on all levels, whether it's our workings, okay, any kind of workings we've done, those remnants of workings, or whether it's holding on to old pain, grudge energy, resentments, holding on to our need to get even, our need for revenge, our need to be right, you know, holding on to other people's energy because we haven't released it, we haven't done the work that we need to do to release it, or holding on to situations that we really don't want to be investing our time and energy in, which breeds within us a sense of resentment. All of this, like, it muddies the waters. So there's no clarity there. So if you're in this space in your life where you feel confused, you don't know what your next step should be, you can't see things clearly, maybe you feel a lot of emotional turbulence, maybe you don't feel like you're in the most balanced space. Just as a question, just something to consider. Do you really think that's the right time to be doing any kind of spell work? Is it the right time to, like, you know, be doing any kind of spell work related to anything outside of yourself? And I will tell you truly that there's a progression on the path. For those of you that I'm talking to that are on the path of, you know, being a root worker, or you're on the path of the craft, you know, anything along these lines, and maybe working with ritual forms a fundamental foundation of your spirituality, how you connect with spirit, how you access your own empowerment and your own ability to create in this world, because we're all creators. We are all connected to that source. I feel like this is coming through especially strong for you all, okay? But it's also mindful of how you use your words and what prayers, you speak into existence as well. If you are in that space, is that the right time to be doing any kind of working other than a working that is really focused on purifying your energy so you can get your own channel clear, you know? This is really the focus right now. Later, we'll be working more along the lines of starting to align with our vision and the energy we want to embody so we can see it manifesting in our outer reality, all right, with intention. But it's still all an internal job. There's never any necessity to do any working outside of yourself. And so going back to that initial piece that got brought in the beginning about, people who are often feared about, oh, somebody's messing with my energy, somebody's putting something on me, somebody's doing spell work against me. Well, that's a shame for them because they must really feel disempowered. That person must really be in a weak position. They feel so inadequate and so inferior and so threatened and in such a fear space that they feel like they have to manipulate your energy. They are totally knocked out of their power. They feel like the only way they have any power is by trying to exercise some control over you. They're actually attached in a very unhealthy way, and their efforts are completely impotent. So there's no need to even return to sender because you don't even need to take that energy on. It's laughable. It's laughable. All right. So nothing outside of you on that level, on the spiritual level, is a threat when you're connected to your own energy and when your own energy is running nice and clear and when you maintain it with good energetic boundaries. All right. Don't make it about other people. That's a point of disempowerment. As soon as you make it about something outside of yourself, you're moving up. You are. You're moving out of your power source and you're moving from a base of scarcity and fear. So this is about you really staying connected to your power. All right. And it begins here, by recognizing that the stuff that I hold on to, by holding on to these energies that keep me in this place of lack of clarity within myself, this is not a beneficial environment for growth. It says causes men to die in 3 days of putrid wounds. It's like, yeah, if you just hold on to the wounding, if you're sitting there nursing these negative energies, if you're fueling it with your resentment, with your bitterness, with your desire for revenge, if you're hosting these energies, absolutely right. It's cutting you off from your life force. It's cutting you off from the life that wants to flow in for you. You're depleting yourself and you're not able to birth any new beginnings. So you're creating your own endings. You're living in what's already dead and gone. And you continue to create from that space. And yet you neglect your responsibility in it. You just keep telling yourself, why do these things keep happening to me? Because of the energy you're running. It's not easy work. Alchemy is not easy work. And we hate looking at this kind of stuff. I'm not coming off from any kind of high horse at all whatsoever, okay? Like I've done all this work myself. I will tell you that on my path, on the third road, I have to be accountable all the time. I have to be accountable all the time. Even before I do any kind of working with myself, I purify myself. I'll send up some kind of prayer like, please cleanse me, Spirit, cleanse me of my biases, cleanse me of my attachments, cleanse me of my expectations. I always ask, move me to the side because you know what I need right now. All right, so this is important. Purification. The path is endless purification. It's so important that you maintain your energy, that you understand the responsibility of that you do have this free will. And that's a power. Your choices have power. Make sure they come from a clean place. Make sure they come from a clear place. Make sure they come from a place of personal responsibility for how you're exercising your energy in the world, because it doesn't just impact you. It impacts everything. It's that powerful. So this is like, okay, we need to move away from this energy. Look, 8 of Cups, let go of what is holding you back. Let go of those blocks and begin here by first focusing as we start this journey together, because we're just in the opening week here. Focus on your purification, right? So bring this piece in this week. Start looking at it, even if you're not ready to let go of an attachment yet. And to do that, if you're able to acknowledge that within yourself and you're like, I'm not ready to let go of this person, maybe that's the Tower for you. It's shocking. Okay. But I have to say, I applaud you if you're able to be that radically honest with yourself. That's where the healing begins. By taking personal responsibility. Okay, now you have something to work with. All right, now I'm going to really start working with this. Okay, Spirit, help me work with this. What do I need to do to release this energetic attachment, this fear of abandonment, this fear of not being supported, this fear? It always comes back to fear. Always comes back to fear. So I feel like this is a good place to begin this week. Start cleansing yourself of fear. Start cleansing yourself of fear. Let your focus on your purification, your spiritual purification, be around cleansing yourself of fear. So if you have a traditional route to spirituality, if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you have a very set doctrine that you adhere to that is your spiritual roots and what feeds your soul, send up your prayers in that regard. Help me be cleansed of this fear. Watch what happens when you stop making it about anything else except this choice between love and fear. It will bring everything into alignment for you. Okay. Let's just see. Oh, wow. What's behind justice? Justice, the balancing point. Okay. The balancing point, the truth, man. Justice, Astaroth. Tell how the angels fell, reveals the past, present, and future, teaches the liberal science, which is what we're doing right here, right now. I am a Libra. So I act out of that justice archetype, but this is what, is coming through right now. This is what's being downloaded right now. Spirit is telling you. This is what causes us to fall from our divinity. And what is our divinity? Our divinity is the awareness, the recognition that, oh, wait, I'm the creator. I am connected to the creator. There's no separation between me and creator. And this creative force is running through everything, everyone in all of existence. It's the separation that's the lie. So all you need to do is you need to, maintain your communication line with your higher consciousness, with God, with Goddess, with the divine, with Great Spirit, with Mother Nature, however you view it, with the cosmos, okay? With all of existence. Think of it that way. It's like a great big network. Like the collective is this great big network, and we all have our own lines, how, the energy gets through to make contact with us. So keep your line clear, so there's not, interruptions in service. That's what I got. Yeah, maintain your connections. Do this purification work. Purify yourself of that fear. Stop making it about what others are doing, and start maintaining your own energy, and also how you're investing your time and energy. It has an effect on the quality of energy you're running. Absolutely, where you put your focus has a powerful effect on the quality of energy you're running, and also what you're bringing to the table and what you're manifesting in life. We all have to learn these lessons. There's times I've gotten sloppy with my purification, and I paid for it. I paid for it. I do. I get in my own way. I create my own blockages. I have to come back to this again and again and again and again, as will all of you, because the path is endless purification. And you ain't above it all, and you ain't enlightened, and you haven't ascended. Okay. I'm sorry. You're not going anywhere. You're right here in the thick of it, in the muck of it, in the school of life on planet Earth, like the rest of us. Nobody's better than anybody. Nobody's better than anybody. We're just all running the energy in a different way. And as long as you're here and you're still in a physical body, the path is endless purification. You haven't gone beyond anything. And we all need to put ourselves in check. Okay. So everything that I'm sharing with you, I watch the videos after I post them because half the time I don't remember what came through. And then I learn something like, oh God, yeah, I need to focus on that too. All right. So I'm in this with you. I'm in this with you. We're all in a transformational process together right now. All right. So I do this work too. As I'm looking around my space right now, I'm like, oh yeah, I have some old workings I need to clear from my space. I have some things that I need to release and I need to return to the earth. I think I'm going to look at that a little bit. Why have I been holding on to those workings? What's that about? What's that communicating to me? Good starting point for me to explore. Okay. I've been really good with my smoke cleansing. I've been really good with my my cleansing with water, spiritual baths, things like that, but there are some things I need to bring in. I want to get back to this piece that came in about working with the flower essences, because there's such a gentle, energetic medicine. And I did bring in heart's ease, as well as bleeding heart vine can also be really excellent flower essences for any of you that are dealing with any kind of heartbreak, grief. You're dealing with some kind of romantic rejection or separation. It can really help you call your energy back, and like it's just like such a soothing balm to those parts of you. So that can be very healing to just start to align your energy in a different way. Also, for those of you that are opening up to this experience, you're going to find as you travel along with me through this, you're going to start to open up more energetically. You're going to start to get more in touch with your intuition. You're going to start to have your own visionary experiences. Your energy is going to start shifting. You also may find that you are more sensitive to the energy in your environment, that it's easier for you to absorb it, easier for you to take in and embody. You don't want to do that, all right? Which is why we're starting here with this foundation of get grounded every day, put up shielding every day so you can really stay in your intentional energy, the energy you want to hold, aligning with that higher vibration, staying in that energy of love, connection, empowerment, strength. All right. Very, very important. Very important. It's so important to preserve that energy. It's very, very essential. This is foundational, because you're going to have a lot that's going to start to come in for you, and you're going to need to be able to process it. And it's so beneficial to work with these techniques just to get that as you're getting used to this, and getting used to really running your energy and taking your focus away from what's outside of yourself to the quality of energy you're running. You're going to find that it's really going to be necessary to do more of this purification, clear more of this energy out, own your part in it while you're holding on to certain things. And the clearer and the clearer and the clearer you're going to become. All right. So this is an important piece. I feel like so much has come in around this. I feel like I'm coming to the end of it, but I just want to ask one final round from Spirit. Maybe I'll get a final angel to kick it off too, but let's look at one more round of this occult deck. Anything you want us to know, Spirit, about the work we need to do at this time to purify ourselves so we can be clear conduits for your messages, your guidance, your directive, what's looking to come through us, what we're being asked to create in our lives right now. What's the work for us to do on a spiritual level, on a psychic level right now? Okay, it all came out in one big stack. Okay, we have Queen of Swords. Okay, so this is air sign collective. Big Libra cards. Interesting. Justice already came in. Andreaphis. Queen of Swords teaches geometry and measurements, increases one's intelligence, can transform a person into a bird. And I like this peacock energy here. Okay. I love this peacock energy. You know, the peacock feathers, they have an eye on them, right? And that eye, it's very similar to that eye of protection, right? So this is what I'm telling you. You know, it's all about, you get freedom. You can transform yourself into a bird. What do we get from bird medicine? All right. Birds, first of all, they have a bird's eye view. They're able to kind of get above situations where they can have a certain clarity, which is very much, you know, that quality of the Queen of Swords. She's able to have clear vision. She's able to stay in her center. She's able to be in that point where she doesn't get swayed when she's in balance, and she's coming in here upright. Okay. So air sign collective in particular, if you have any strong air placements, you know, this might be coming through very strongly for you. If this is really about moving into that space of clarity within yourself, aligning with your truth, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. This will increase your spiritual intelligence, right? You'll be able to see things with clarity. It also can help you shape shift into a bird. In the essence of birds have freedom, right? Birds aren't meant to be caged. They're meant to fly free, and their view is expansive. They have a bird's eye view. They're able to have some distance, right? Some activation distance. Strength is in your ability to respond, right? Not react. And when people are reacting to things and they make a big mess of things, they're coming from a place of fear. All reactiveness is based in fear. But true strength, true intelligence, okay, comes from that place of having a little bit of perspective, where you can have a broader perspective, where you can pull back a little bit, where you're not energetically corded in, right? The minute you're triggered, you're corded into something, all right? It's an activation point. And from there, there's no ability to have clarity. So creating this space for yourself, right? That's what happens when we put up our energetic boundaries. We're creating space for ourselves. It's not about what anybody else is doing or what anybody else is thinking about us or willing towards us. It doesn't even matter. It has no effect on us. We're just maintaining our own energy, right? You don't need to return to center. Not received. I'm maintaining my own channel. That didn't come through my higher consciousness. I didn't get that communication coming through my higher consciousness. I didn't get that communication coming through my spiritual directive from my guides. I didn't get that direction from source. That's not where it came in. I'm not receiving any messages from ego. I'm maintaining my own energy, man. Okay. So that is your protection. You know, that is your protection by really, you know, being in your own energy. Okay. You might also want to like look into some, I don't know why this is coming in, but it might be coming in for somebody. You might want to work a little bit. I'm just noticing the geometry and measurements. You might want to work a little bit with like some sacred geometry. There might be something that unlocks in the consciousness by maybe doing some work like focusing on a mandala, like the center point of a mandala, that we call that the adatu point. You know, there's a lot happening around, right? It teaches focus. It's a meditative focus. It teaches focus because in a mandala, there's all this action going on around, right? But you're only meant to focus on the center point, the datu. All right, you keep your focus there. So birds also, they have that, right? They have vision. They're able to see things very clearly. I want you to think in particular of the bird that came in the beginning for us with that. Where did it go? Where did my feather go? There it is. You know, hawk medicine. You know, think about hawks when they want to, you know, get their next meal, when they need some fuel, when they need some nourishment, they're able to be way above what they're looking to, you know, get a hold of, right? And they have this incredible distance, but it actually allows them to have incredible vision and focus to see clearly where they need to direct their attention and their awareness so they can bring in that nourishment that they need. And since Hawk is all about messages from spirit, you know, you need some spiritual sustenance, you need some directive from spirit, Have you been sending up prayers to spirit? Have you been asking them, your spirit guide, your spirit team? Have you been asking your ancestors, what's my next step? I don't understand. I need some guidance. I'm confused. Will you protect me? I feel like there's been a lot in the collective that have been making some requests, okay? But it sort of requires you got to, like I was saying, you got to open up the circuits. You got to open up the channel for the communication to actually come through. It wants to come through. It's about really coming into your own energy. With the peacock too, for me personally, and I want to speak to this because I know that there's many different spiritual traditions out there. And so I feel some of the people who tune in here are probably much like me, and you might feel an affinity towards many different kinds of spiritual expressions. Maybe there's a lot of you out there, or some of you out there, that do feel a connection with the earth. You feel that's your source of spiritual support. You may feel a deep connection with the orishas, which are the embodiment of the elementals, and with the peacock is associated with Oshun. And Oshun is the Orisha of love and beauty. She is also the only creatrix in the Arumale. She was responsible for giving the life-giving waters to the earth that grow and sustain all things. It's like, think of like really exalted, like empress energy that helps you kind of like tap into the archetype of Oshun. So there's something about this too, about filling your space. I think of measurements. I think of measurements. I think of geometry. I also think about space and personal space, like the four walls of a home. The spaces we create around ourselves, not just spiritually, energetically within, but also without, in our general environment that we do have control over. We do get to direct the flow of our living space, even our office space that we're in, for those of you who work outside the home. So this also makes me think of bringing in more of the qualities, some of those Oshun qualities into this space to sort of serve as like a protection of your energy and attention by simply providing a focal point. So you might want to bring more love and beauty into your physical home environment. So maybe it's a good time to start working on a little of that spring cleaning too, not just with any workings you've done, but also in terms of just your daily living space, because it has a great effect on your energy and the energy you're running. And then behind this, we have the 10 of Pentacles, okay? It's the manifestation point, rooting those visions, manifesting those visions. It's by having this focus and having this clarity, and not getting distracted by what's on the periphery or what others are doing, but by holding our peace and really taking on that responsibility and accountability for running our own energy, that we move into that manifestation point. That's what the 10 of Pentacles is. It is the attainment of the vision. It's rooting our visions. It's arriving in a place of cooperation with the flow of abundance, where we are really able to step into that reality that we want to live from, that place where we feel supported, that place where we feel fulfilled, where there's more than enough to go around, where everybody can have what they need. Okay, we embody that in our lives. And 10 of Pentacles, Barbados, understands the tongues of animals, uncovers treasures hidden by magicians, reconciles friends and enemies. This point is really, I'm really cluing into this point because of what I brought into the discussion here. Uncovers treasures hidden by magicians. What do we talk about opening this up? People tell you, oh, you need a working, right? Okay, we see this a lot, right? We see this a lot on YouTube, especially coming up in the comments, scammers. Oh, you need a reading. You need a working done by, Dr. Love. He's going to reunite you with your lost soulmate, end any separation or whatever false promises they want to give, right? So they want you to believe. A lot of these people out here like spreading this spiritual propaganda, I call it, okay? out onto the ethers, out onto the World Wide Web, which is a web of creation. Okay, it is a form of spell casting. These people with all the, you got to return to center, 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 you got to, do protection spells, you got to do this, you got to do that. They are feeding the fear. And it's also disempowering you because it's taking you out of your own energy and your own truth, which is you are already source. You are already source. It's all inside of you. All the keys are inside of you. The keys of the kingdom are inside of you. You don't need anybody to save you. You don't. You have a direct line. You just need to clear your channel and you need to stop giving your power away. And I'm not blaming any of the people out there in the tarot community either that have been talking a lot about return to sender concept or this kind of thing. I understand that a lot of people haven't looked at it on this level. They haven't gone down to the bedrock of it, Some people are parroting. Birds also squawk, right? Chirp, 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 They spread the news, So you see something that gets introduced into algorithm enough, sooner or later, if you're susceptible to it, you can be programmed on it. You take it on as your own ideology. Now you see reality through this screen. You're looking through a different window in the grid. Well, you can have that be your reality tunnel if you want. You can continue to hand the power over to others that they actually have an ability to send some, juju your way that's going to negatively affect you. It's BS. You have to agree to take it in. How do you agree to take it in? By actually believing that they can have the power to do that anyway when you're clear and connected to source and your own truth. That's not a whole lot of faith if you think about it. This is about looking at things in a new way. This is about having a revelatory tower. A revelatory tower that awakens you. That awakens you to the reality that, wow, I have more power than I thought I did. And my power is fueled by source. It's the source working through me. I just have to stop making it about these petty things outside of myself. Because once you're clear and once you're tapped in, that's not going to have any impact on you. And that is the treasure that's hidden by these magicians. It's a little bit of smoke and mirrors, okay? And I do feel, I have to put it out there, that the majority of people who are sharing this information out here in Tarot land, they're not coming from a place of lower vibe, okay? They're not coming from a place of trying to cause harm. It's just they've downloaded the programming. That's all. And unfortunately, it's reinforcing the programming, which is a fear template. Some, though, there are some out there that are manipulators. They're still operating out of fear. They don't believe in their ability to create for themselves. And so they put on these false fronts and they try to influence, manipulate other people's energy, usually by looking for a target, usually by looking for somebody who's already in a vulnerable space. That's why you'll see it come up on tarot readings. Somebody's sharing their heartache, they're being vulnerable. They're bringing this piece in on the comments thread. We've all seen this, somebody really sharing the losses they've incurred, how they're struggling, how much the reading spoke to them, right? And then you got this vulture come around. That's another type of bird, right? Picking up the scraps. Oh, this person has suffered a great loss in their life. They're in a really vulnerable space. They're susceptible. I can take advantage of this. And it's a way for them to feel empowered and also to strip you of your finances, further disillusion you after you get taken advantage of. It reinforces your rhetoric, the story you tell yourself. Okay, keeps you in that victimized standpoint. All right. So first of all, just in relation to that, because there are scammers out there, when you do see scammers coming up, on threads out there in Tarot land on YouTube, report them, block them. Be part of the change, okay? Moving this kind of harmful energy out of the collective. But also be aware, to take things worth a grain of salt. If you're dealing with people that you're tuning into for guidance and they're constantly telling you you need to protect yourself, do this protection spell, return to sender. No. You just need to create a container for your own energy to maintain your own channel. That's it. That's it. Maintaining your own current of your truth, your love, and your connection to source. And you're golden. All your manifestations will follow, right? Then you move out of this space. Look at this, reconciles friends and enemies. What does this mindset of friends and enemies, what does this come from? And that's what we're looking at when there's all this, oh, you need to protect yourself against this person. They're doing this, they're doing that. Okay. It creates the division. It fuels the division. It keeps us in a place of division. And division has been in the algorithm for a long time. If you don't believe that, just, scroll through Facebook. Scroll through your Facebook feed and you will see how the programming is all about division. And why? Divided we fall. Divided we fall. All right. So it's really about us each, also as readers, just speaking to all the readers out there, it's up to us, to also hold ourselves to a higher standard and responsibility for the messages we're sharing with people so that we can make sure that we are helping people really connect with their own power. And then we don't fall into these spaces of thinking like, I'm the guide, I have all the answers. No, we don't. Okay. We don't. I don't know shit. All right. I'm learning something new every day. All right. I'm just here to show up because I've been able to get to a place just in my own healing work and going down to the depths of trauma and calling my soul parts back, where I'm able to kind of like push myself aside and let the guidance come through unobstructed, right? And that's it. It's not me. I'm not even, Shannon is not the one talking to you right now. What's coming through is source using my voice to speak through me. And source also speaks through all of you. We're all a conduit for that. So no one is better than anybody. Nobody is more enlightened than anybody. I don't care what anybody says about that. I'm spitting truth right now. We divide ourselves from source. And that's all about ego. It's all about putting our faith and trust in the original lie, that there's division, that there's any kind of separation. There's not. And it's such an important piece. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the tarot. What comes in, I was just about to say, it's about putting our focus on that dot 2 point of the collective mandala. And the dot 2 point of the collective mandala is the unity point. The unity point. So it's about that and embodying that, the unity point, okay? And what comes in with that, 2 of cups. The unity point, the alignment point, right? Solace, this is where we find the reciprocation, the reciprocal flow, right? Causes the love of women to men and of men to women. The unity point, right? This is what brings everything together. And the way we bring all this together is with the help of the 2 of swords, right? Creating those boundaries around our personal energy so we can continue to maintain our personal responsibility for how we're running our energy, how we're exercising our free will in the world. 2 of swords, Halfist, builds towers and provides weapons and ammunition, sends soldiers to appointed places, okay? And right after that, we have 6 of swords, Seer. Travels the world over in an instant and brings anything anywhere. Ted, did you hear Ted? Gives the truth about thefts and hidden treasures, all right? Willing to do anything one commands. And that's the reality. Like, it's all right there for you. All right there for you. A direct line to source that will provide you with everything you need to experience fulfillment and to feel supported in this life, to move into that position of really being in partnership with Creator, because you recognize that you are a reflection of that. Microcosm is just a reflection of macrocosm, right? And from there, you can stop building these towers and forming these weapons, readying yourself for some attack or something coming at you, and the need to return to sender, because no weapon formed against you shall prosper when you're aligned with the true essence of your soul. And I think I'm going to leave it off there. Have a beautiful day. Sit with that word embodiment. Practice working with putting up some kind of energetic boundary around yourself, just so you can kind of feel what it's like to just drop into your own energy without any intrusion from outside forces. I think something will be revealed to you in that space.